All right, so a lot of sell-off yesterday was fueled by the idea that our perception that NVIDIA and OpenAI, they had these moats that were perhaps impenetrable, at least a significant lead over foreign rivals, specifically China. In your mind, has that been shattered, or do we just need to reassess what that moat was? Because it seemed like a lot of that moat was based on capital and scale.
Well, I'll start by saying I think outside of the investment world, I think a lot of people have been waiting for a moment where we started to see the research commoditize. And certainly this is one of those moments. I mean, seeing a Chinese firm produce a GPT-4 equivalent model of any kind was remarkable. Then to see it actually be so economically efficient is truly astounding. Calling a paradigm shattered because of one model is pretty complicated, but I do think it is a reminder to everyone that just because we live in a world today where models require an exceptional amount of compute, an exceptional amount of data, an exceptional amount of energy, does not mean that we will always live in that world. The architecture can change, and of course, how the models get trained change. So we are now entering a new world where we're going to see much better, much smaller models that just require a lot less compute.
All right, so if you don't mind me bottom lining, it sounds like you're saying that scale and capital are not as important as they used to be. It's more about innovation. I think a lot of people are praising DeepSeek for the fact that, necessity is the mother of invention, and they just couldn't get all the chips they needed, so they found a workaround.
That is exactly right. I mean, people are like, "Oh, is this a pie in the face to OpenAI?" And the answer is, of course not. Right? We, in the United States, we're operating with the resources that we have, and we happen to, have raised a lot of this money in a low interest rate environment and purchased an incredible amount of chips. And in China, they don't have that same luxury. And I will remind everyone, the firm that built DeepSeek and R1 was a quant firm, right? So it's a hedge fund trying to find alpha that basically went out and said, "How can we build a competitive model?" And then they've gone and open sourced it because they're non-economic actors. But you're right. I mean, scarcity in this case drove a lot of creativity, and I think that's actually pretty good for the world. We haven't priced it yet.
All right, we were just showing a Sam Altman post basically saying that DeepSeek was impressive and, as a lower cost model. So I do want to go back to this part about the idea that it is a lower cost model. It only costs $6 million, developed in 2 months, hedge funds doing it. Any questions about the veracity of some of these claims that it was only built for that amount of money over that amount of time and without those advanced chips? Any questions about that? Because there are some times that we get information from China that isn't 100% accurate.
Yeah, I think it's fair to question whether or not this model was actually trained with the number of chips that they're suggesting. That being said, we probably have a safe assumption that it's in the order of magnitude, because we roughly know how many chips China has access to, and we can make some assumptions around how the model is trained. Taking DeepSeek at its word is probably a fair thing to do at this point.
All right. What about the U.S. response? We saw the president do an executive order related to AI that raised some eyebrows. Some people were concerned about the possible impact to national security. When we're looking at the development of AI and the idea of the U.S. having dominance or at least a lead when it comes to AI, how significantly has that changed? Do we need to see a government response, a private company response, a partnership response? What would you say?
Well, we're in a world now where national security is not just a government issue, it's a private sector issue, because so much innovation, so much novel scientific development is coming out of the private sector, and that's the new normal for sure. I think that Biden's executive order, which was meant to basically strangle the amount of chips and services that China could have access to, you could argue did not have the effect that they wanted to have, and in fact may have actually fueled some other innovation. To call it the end of U.S. supremacy in AI is misguided. I would remind people that I think that the research at this point we should assume starts to commoditize, which is to say there will be this convergence, the scientific convergence, where lots of people start arriving at pretty interesting discoveries around the same time. That's not bad necessarily for the United States. Obviously, we wake up one day and feel like, oh, our rival has something that we would want, and that makes us scared. And with respect to chip stocks, I guess it probably would spook me as an investor to say, hey, maybe all these chips won't be necessary. But I think what we have to explore is the reality that someone just invented a much less expensive way to do something that we've decided is exceptionally important,
Okay.
these high-powered AI models. And inevitably, right now, there are many US companies trying to turn DeepSeek's innovation into their own. And so the idea that there won't be measures and countermeasures here that serve the market, I think is actually missing the broader point. And Jevons paradox basically says the cheaper that something gets, the more we consume of it. And so we should all hope and want for this technology, AI in particular, to be as inexpensive as possible. And this is just a great step in that direction.
All right. Zach, we got to get going. I need a very quick answer. Does this mean, at least in your mind, that open source is the way to go, that these proprietary models are the thing of the past, and open source is where we're going to see innovation going forward?
Well, the short answer is sure. The longer answer is, look, the good news now is we live in a multi-model world. The idea that one model is going to rule them all forever is just probably not correct. And we should just expect to build a world with many, many models, and that's great.